Hey, hello. Welcome to another episode of Chopping It Up, where I bring most dope individuals in the soccer space and we just chat a little ball. It's always a good time here on our Patreon premium series. For $6 a month, you can get the full episode. Because you people watching on YouTube, you people listening on podcast apps, unless you've already subscribed, you're only going to get 15 minutes of this. And I know you want the full episode. You know how you do that? By subscribing to our Patreon. The link is in our show description. $6 a month will get you 20 plus hours of content. We actually have a huge library where you can just go all the way back, months and months, and you can listen to obviously the first time we had Jack on and just see how much better our rapport was. I mean, the first recording was already pretty great, but the chemistry is just off the charts. You will see.
I thought we had it down to start with anyway.
I really did. I was very impressed. When I got done at the end of it, I was like, wait, did we just become friends?
You were noticeably giddy afterwards. That's the first one I thought.
I really was, though. I was excited to have you on, and now look, this is like the fourth time we've had you on. This is great. I am, and so this voice for people who are listening on the audio. I mean, I'm sure you saw the title. Shady, give it up for Jack Gaughan. How's it going, friend? How you holding up?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I mean, the people that are listening won't be able to sort of see that I've probably still got enchiladas around my mouth from and still pretty sore that when you were over for the Brighton game, you said that we'd go for a beer, and then I never heard from you, which obviously means you're way too big tonight for me now. Spend your time in the offices of the Manchester Evening News instead of sort of.
Oh no!
No.
Oh my gosh. So I'm trying to figure out what happened. So actually,
I mean, the other thing is, when people are listening, they can't actually see him squirm.
Because I do feel bad. That day was so overwhelming. I went and did some stuff for the Manchester City site, their social media. I got to the game late. My brain was.
Yeah, they had you on the TV, didn't they?
Yeah, my brain was melted. I was so exhausted. I'm pretty sure I just went down to the hotel bar and just sat in there for the rest of the night, just drank basic beers and watched rugby. I don't remember what I did. And then I was in London. It was all a blur. And you rightfully so are giving me shit. I really do apologize. Yeah. I missed so many people.
I'm not joking.
I know you're not. And now trust me, I'm very upset too. I'm happy that I did all of the things that I did in this first time to Manchester. So the next time I can go, I can actually fucking relax. Cause I really was just running around like a crazy person. And well, that's not a great look.
You were listing out for non-existent tea alarms or something. No.
It was so overwhelming. Oh my god, it was so overwhelming. And so overwhelming, I fluffed up and I was supposed to meet up with Howard Hawkin. There were a few people that I was supposed to meet up with, and it was
but I'd cancelled all plans for 4 days.
Did you really? Why did you reach out?
Friends that wanted to go out, women that wanted to go on dates, work commitments, all sort of cleared.
And then you see me smiling with Simon Bashkowski and Joe Bray.
I'm coming over. I've cleared the decks, and then he spent it with Joe Bray instead. But there we go. You live and learn.
Oh my god, I'm literally dying. This is my worst nightmare. Oh my gosh. Speaking of, anyway, are you coming to the States for the Club World Cup?
Yeah, I'm doing. Flying out on June the 11th. So City have got their pre-tournament camp in Miami. So we'll be there first, and then just hopping from city to city for the matches after that until they go out. if they do go out.
If they do go out, let's hope not, because we definitely could use that money. Spend it on some more players. Spend it all on Gibbs White.
Yeah, got to spend it on some homegrowners.
Yes, which we will definitely get into that conversation, and especially that's the one ignorant American thing about me, where it's just like, why do these English players cost so much?
Yeah.
Well, and this question is I guess it's a lot easier to answer now after the Aston Villa results. But I have been asking my show Rose this for the last 3 weeks at the beginning of every episode. Do you think Manchester City ends the season in a top 5 position in the Premier League? Like, will they see Champions League football next year?
Yeah, I think they will now. Before the Palace game, I'd written a piece about how it was the first time they dropped out of the top 5 since the middle of January, and Newcastle winning every week, Villa were resurgent, Forest didn't seem to be dropping off. All right, Chelsea's a bit of a different kettle of fish, really, but it was just a bit like, oh God, like, could it actually happen? And then they've won 3 on the trot since. Like, really, really impressive comeback against Palace. I thought the legs they showed and the sort of fortitude in coming back from 2 goals down was really good. To be honest, when the second goal went in, just didn't see it coming. And I think if the third goal had been ruled to have been onside, I think it then becomes a very, very different afternoon. But he was offside, wasn't he? So that was a really, really good response for them. I didn't think they were good at Everton. There's 2 schools of thought about Everton. The first one is that on my side, it's like, didn't think they were that great, didn't move the ball quickly enough. And then Doku sort of changed the game and livened them all up. And the other school of thought is that they were just sort of controlling it and wearing Everton down in a way that we probably saw City do during COVID, when they played with all the false nines and things like that. Mm-hmm. Were more sort of insistent on having 80% of possession. So I don't know which it is. It's one of the two, maybe somewhere in between. I don't know. And I thought they were really good on Tuesday night against Villa. Even if they drawn, I thought that. Even if they ended up drawing, I thought they played really well. And they hit upon this system of like a box midfield for the home games, where they'll play Kovacic and, well, on Tuesday it was Kovacic and Silva, and then De Bruyne and Gundogan in front, and then McAtee and Marmoush ahead of them, which is allowing the fullbacks to make a real impact, and it's stopping those horrible transitions that we've seen for the first 6 months of the season, where teams were just picking them off through the middle. They were just steamrolling them, and he's found a way of stopping that now. So they should have more. I mean, the fixtures are pretty kind now, and they should have more than enough. 15 years on the trot in the Champions League. 15 years.
It doesn't feel like that, but it definitely does. Like, it's one of those things. It's just kind of crazy to think just that consistent excellence and just being able to be in that competition, and even seeing the table, the teams that are in the top 5 right now, where you have kind of the traditional powers missing in there, where you get, well, I mean, I guess technically Newcastle, like, can we consider that? Because once upon a time No.
Maybe for some sort of like nostalgia merchants, but no, not really.
So same thing for Forest then, nostalgia merchants, because that was
Forest dominance was obviously far larger than Newcastle's ever was. I mean, Newcastle have never really had any, but it's so long ago that I mean, it's for Forest to be up there is an incredible story, really, in the way that it's happened with a manager that no one really fancies, a group of players that like, look at some of the players they've bought, like Wood and Alanga, even like, I know we'll get onto him, but even Gibbs White. I mean, people were turning around going, why on earth have they spent so much money on Morgan Gibbs White? He's hopeless, and he's turned into like a really, really good midfielder.
Yes, he has. Man, I am. Yeah, just seeing these games and seeing them come back when they were doing the slump, October, November, December. The games felt similar to these last few weeks, where it's just possession, 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 possession. But we would eventually lose the ball, and the team would just run across the pitch, 2-3 passes, and score on us. Where the press seems to be shut down, the players in the right decision. Maybe it is just playing the one game a week is what has been benefiting the team and Pep, him being able to actually like sit and think and view tape. I'm sure this will be something he'll be able to talk about a little bit more at the end of the season when he can actually be like, I'm actually very interested to see like what the conversations will be during the Club World Cup. Like, what will people, it's just going to be asked the same million questions about transfers, or will someone actually ask him some retrospective questions about the season?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of certainly in the first sort of week, because I mean the first two games are not that exciting, are they?
At all.
At all. So, sorry, I've just kicked my desk. Then it looked like I was an earthquake. Yeah, I think the first couple of weeks will be sort of now the dust has settled. Can you now tell us what on earth was going on? Yeah, with like certain. I mean, I've tried to press him on it in the last couple of weeks about the spirit and things like that, and he's just not really. He's sort of going 30% of the way in. He's giving you a bit, and then he's sort of going, oh, we'll reverse back now, which is fine. I think that will change when Champions League qualification is confirmed. And they're heading into the Club World Cup. So those like press conferences will be quite interesting on sort of how he's thinking and how he reflects, because he's giving you little bits, I think, through the season. There's been things over the last few weeks where he's like, well, there's a number of players that we can't trust and they're going to be sold, is effectively what he's been saying, but not in quite so many words, which is interesting. And then there's been bits about like behind the scenes spirit issues, but he's not divulged like exactly what they are. So there's definitely a few things to look at and pick through. And even you might, when everything's sorted for this season, you might find it quite cathartic to talk it through publicly.
I'm hoping so. I really am. It's especially with the seeming like all the transition we're gonna have with these players. When players leave City, they tend to be pretty quiet, and then after a bit, that's when they give it up. So, like KDB, I'll be super interested in, because even when he's talking about things, he's doing the same thing where he gives up a little bit, but then kind of backtracks and just goes, "I agree with what the club is doing. I understand," even though it doesn't seem like he understands. It does seem like he's kind of upset.
Yeah, he's allowed to be upset.
Obviously, yeah. He's given.
But equally, I mean, playing devil's advocate, yeah, he's allowed to be upset. But then if the club don't want to pay someone $400,000 a week who only plays half the games and doesn't have that same sort of explosiveness that he had over 2 yards and doesn't have the same sort of thrust, then I can also understand that as well. Obviously, he was great against Crystal Palace, but I think we all wanted him to be great against Crystal Palace because it was a great story for fans and media and things like that. Yeah, I thought he was good then, but then not great against Everton, and sort of halfway in between against Villa. So it's not, since the announcement, there hasn't been this sort of like litter of incredible performances that would turn around and say, well, have they made a massive mistake?
I love this. Okay. This was a fun conversation. Get just a little bit serious for a moment. with this whole ticket price situation with Man City, honestly, with the whole Premier League. Man City in the league, they're, I would say, profitable businesses. But why does it seem like they have no interest in like finding a middle ground with the everyday local fan base? And do you think we're at a point of no return with the situation?
I don't think you're ever at a point of no return.
Okay,
But
that's
the
good.
problem is, I don't. It would take, yeah. Can you really